Hey everyone, Michael here with Brick a Pencil. I want to talk about something that happened yesterday. Yesterday, Taylor Swift announced that she successfully bought back the rights to the master recordings of her first 6 studio albums. Something that 6 years ago, when she started this journey, seemed impossible. And yet, yesterday, for a rumored $360 million, not very different or fairly comparable to the price that Shamrock paid back in 2020, she was able to buy the full rights to all of her master recordings from her first 6 albums. The reason I want to talk about this isn't a music story. This is a strategic masterclass that really every product leader should study. So I'm going to show you exactly how she did it. And I'm going to do that using my 6 personas of a product leader framework. So the 6 personas of product leadership, this is a framework that I came up with that tries to encapsulate all the different personas or hats that a product leader needs to wear or embody to truly be a great product leader, not just a good one. Most product leaders are good at 1 or 2 of these, but you really need to hone skills across all 6 to be the most effective product leader you can be. Ironically, nobody ever sits product leaders down and tells them this. It's what I'm trying to do. So let me just quickly walk through this, left to right. The first persona is a strategic orchestra conductor. As the head of product and the key person responsible around product strategy, your job is to set that product strategy and make sure it's aligned. Make sure it's aligned with all the stakeholders, make sure it's connected clearly to the company vision and strategy, and make sure that your key resource decisions and your trade-offs are being made in support of that. You need to make sure that the teams are moving forward together and that everybody understands the direction. Talent gardener. This is where you're responsible for both hiring, but also most importantly, developing your product managers. You need to create opportunities for them to learn and grow, stretch, and become the best possible product managers they can be. You're judged as a product leader on the strength of your team. And frankly, you're typically judged on the strength of your worst performing product manager. So as a product manager wearing the talent gardener hat, you need to be focusing on up-leveling your team every day. Vision translator. You got to be able to make this high-level strategy from the company and in your product strategy actionable. You need to be able to effectively communicate it up and down, but you also need to make sure that it's aligned across all of the stakeholders and it makes sense. And your PMs may be working on just a very small part of it, and so you need to make sure that they understand what role they have in the bigger picture. Political navigator. You need to build and maintain key relationships throughout the organization. These are up and down and sideways. As a political navigator, you need to make sure that you're able to work with everybody that's in the organization, all the key stakeholders. You need to be able to manage their needs. You need to be able to understand how to influence. You need to be able to understand the organizational dynamics so that you can best influence and drive your product strategy and help your team be effective. You need to be an innovation architect. You need to create the space in your team for innovation, for creativity. Your team can't just be focused on execution. They need to have some time and space and forgiveness for creativity and for testing out new ideas and trying new things. And it's not just with the product team, but it's with the design and the engineering as well. You need to be able to tap into that creative horsepower and let it flourish. And finally, you got to be a business and portfolio choreographer. You've got multiple businesses you're probably dealing with. You certainly have multiple products you're probably dealing with. You've got to be able to manage that portfolio as a single holistic unit. You need to be able to know when you have to move resources from one to another. You need to know what business outcomes are going to be more prioritized versus others. And you need to be able to, most importantly, balance that pressure for short-term results with ultimately delivering on long-term value. And so, as a product leader, you need to be able to be good at all of these. And like I said, most are good at 1 or 2. Taylor Swift masterfully executed all of these in sequence. Let's take a look at the timeline. It starts in 2019. She kind of plays the role here of the political navigator. In 2019, Machine Records sells her masters to Scooter Braun, and she's not even notified or involved or even given an opportunity to bid on those. They're sold without her consent, which they're in the right to do so, but maybe more worse is that they were sold without even giving her an opportunity. And so she launched a public response. She took this to the public and said, "My musical legacy is about to lie in the hands of someone who tried to dismantle it." She also said, "Scooter has stripped me of my life's work." And so she really had a decision point right before that. She could either accept defeat or go public. Clearly, she chose to go public. So the lesson here, how to turn a private crisis into public leverage. Then from 2020 to 2021, she took on the role of innovation architect. She announced her strategy to re-record her original albums, and she was really focusing here on how to create competing assets. Instead of pursuing her primary goal exclusively, she was building alternatives as well. Don't just fight the problem. The lesson here was create a better solution. From 2022 to 2024, it was all about building leverage. She used her ability as a strategic orchestra conductor and a business portfolio choreographer to really mobilize her fan base and use the Eras Tour as incredible leverage for her to boost her fans, highlight her her Trailers version re-recordings, and just generate incredible power and influence. Her re-recordings outperformed originals between 3 and 10x. And again, the Eras Tour broke all sorts of records to give her that kind of leverage. And then in 2025, she became a vision translator and a talent gardener. Full ownership was achieved. Victory. She said, "All I've ever wanted was full autonomy." And now she had it. And not only did she get what she wanted, but she's been an inspiration to other artists for them to negotiate better ownership terms early on in their careers so that they can have an easier path to eventually owning their own music as well. The lesson in this, strategic patience with clear milestones ultimately pays off. So what are some of the key takeaways for us as product leaders? One, we've got to understand all our stakeholders' incentives, including those of your opponents. Two, create competing solutions. Don't just surrender to the cards that you're dealt. See if there's a way you can zig when somebody says to zag. See if there's a way to work around it. Look for other paths forward. Mobilize your user base. It's an asset that is incredibly valuable. Use little successes along the way to slowly build leverage, more and more leverage, and finally play the long game. Don't try to solve it in a week, in a month, in a quarter, even in a year. See what that long game is. See what that prize is at the end. So coming up this week, I'm going to dig even deeper. This overview just scratched the surface. Starting tomorrow on Sunday, I'll have phase 1 talking about how Taylor turned crisis into opportunity. On Monday, we'll go into creating competing assets. On Tuesday, phase 3, coordinating multi-front campaigns. Wednesday, building leverage through success. And Thursday, finally victory and legacy building. Each video will be about 6 to 8 minutes of actionable insights. How we can learn from what Taylor did, look at the strategic decisions and moves she made, and how can we apply that to our own product management and product leadership. If you want to see all of these videos, go ahead and subscribe to my channel here so you'll get notified the moment a new video goes up. Subscribe for those daily breakdowns this week, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks, have a great day, and break a pencil.